Dear learners, so today I have come back again with another discussion on the essay Dissemination, Time, Narrative, and the Margins of the Modern Nation by Homi K. Bhaba. So, in this essay, he has discussed that how national time is represented, or our idea of national time, how nation is narrated, and what are the boundaries to define a modern nation. What are the margins? What are the rules of defining a modern nation? So, first, he has talked about the language of national belonging. What should be the language of national belonging? Now, he harks back to a celebrated line that why nations do not celebrate their astonishing youth. Instead, they go back to their hoariness. They celebrate their hoariness by Benedict Anderson. So Bhaba is asking a question that, whenever, or he is giving his opinion on the language of national belonging, that whenever we tend to focus on the national rhetoric, whenever we are, representing or narrating our nation, our national history, we tend to, indulge in atavistic apologues. We are apologetic. We are apologizing to the past, which we have always idealized. But instead, we do not, celebrate the youth of a nation, the time of formation of a nation. But again, whenever we are fixing some time-bound concepts, the formation of nation or the becoming of a nation, it means that we are again trying to fix national time into a concrete whole, a unified time, which Bhaba feels that it is not so. Okay, time, national time is always moving, always continuing to grow like a reproductive process. So here is the points for uh, developing an argument on the language of national belongingness. So the national rhetoric always comes laden with atavistic apologues. It is a story of mistakes, counting the mistakes, apologizing, and it does so by going back to the past. And national, the belongingness, the rhetoric of national belongingness is poised on the fissures of the present, becoming the rhetorical figures of a national past. So at present, what are we becoming? What are we modeling ourselves into? It is always compared with a past, with a national past. And a modern nation is always mapped in terms of homogeneity, in terms of its literacy and anonymity, how we should remain as a unified nation through our maintenance of anonymous identity. We are equal, we are secular, and even today, the term communalism is always relegated. It is always defining those who who do not or who are unable to align with this unified notion of a nation. So next slide is it's related to the challenge to the post-colonial perspective of nationalism. So here Bhaba is actually challenging the post-colonial notion of nationalism. How so? Because if I go back to Chakravarti's essay, Dipesh Chakravarti's essay, if you revisit that, you will see that, Indian history, the concept of Indian history is is endowed with European concepts of modernity, in European concepts of development, of civilization, of progress. So India as a modern nation is always looking up to European discourse of history, European philosophy, European concepts. So it carries the image of enlightenment. And on the contrary, European enlightenment is not universal. For Europe, Europe became modern through enlightenment. But in India, India became modern. India is a modern nation. It is not only because of European enlightenment. There were several other reasons. If you revisit Dipesh Chakravarti's essay, you will find out. Now, Bhava is questioning that European enlightenment, if it is ideally universal, if it is so ideal, if it is so, if it is so applicable to all the nations, then where is its other? Where is its opposite? Where is its counterpart? Because to claim European enlightenment as universally applicable, universally ideal, where is its the where is its opposite, which actually, you know, which actually made us believe that European enlightenment is universally ideal. So he is challenging the claims of the nations, especially the post colonial nations, to modernity, because it is fraught with the dominant European discourse of modernity. Now, he goes on to say that national time is not concrete, and the formation of a nation, is a temporal process. How so? He feels that a people, or a people of a nation, is a part of double narrative. How this double time shift operates, how this double time keeps on happening. First, it is a part, Indian people, or third world nations, or the post colonial nations, they are, part of historical nationalist pedagogy. They are objects of nationalist pedagogy, and also they are signifying contemporary times. So they are part of history, they are part of that pedagogical national history, and also they signifying contemporary time. So that's why there is, a shift, representation of nations people in a double time. We go back to our history, we go back to our nationalist pedagogy, and again we have the need to be contemporary, we have the need to be modern. So the people are not simply historical events or parts of a patriotic body politic. They are also a complex rhetorical strategy of social reference. If we take up the Indian leaders, freedom fighters, they are not only part of a body politic, a patriotic body politic, but they are also a part of Indian national social reference. They are part of a rhetorical past, as well as they are part of a rhetorical present. Now, the politics of formation of nations. So, a nation is a modern social cohesion, but historical inventions and, the cultures are selected and joined together, put together to, to represent the nation as a unified whole. So the moments of history are arbitrarily selected. Some of them are selected, some of them are ignored. Again, if you go back to Dipesh Chakravarti's essay, you will know that which of them were were selected, and which of them were ignored. And these historical inventions are, arbitrarily put together. The cultural episodes, the past, are arbitrarily, accidentally put together by our Indian historians. And that's why it is a modern social cohesion, but still, because of the shreds of cultural patches, and because culture keeps on evolving, keeps on changing, times keeps on times or time keep on changing. So nation as a nation cannot be ascribed or cannot be tagged as a fixed process or as a complete becoming. It is a temporal process. It keeps on continuing. Now, what are the problematic boundaries of modernity? Ambivalent temporalities of the nation space, which leads to a desire to be modern and a desire to go back to the past or hoariness. So, all the post colonial nations are always juggling, are always, struggling, always interacting or negotiating between these ambivalent temporalities. Ambivalence means in between. So, in between the temporalities, whether to, or not whether, but going back to the past and again desiring to be modern. So, all the post colonial nations have these problematic boundaries, which represent the ambivalent temporalities, whether to look back to the past, and while looking back to the past, what kind of past are they looking at? Which past are they looking at? And when they desire to be modern, what all past are they ignoring? Okay, so this modernity, the process to be modern, the process to revisit the past, when a nation, post-colonial nation, have these temporal ambivalent boundaries, ambivalent spaces, when the nation, a post-colonial nation, is in between these ambivalent spaces, it can never be homogeneous. It will always be heterogeneous. And time itself is heterogeneous. India, as a post colonial nation, is heterogeneous because of its multiple patches of shreds of cultures. Now, again, revisiting the idea of nation as a temporal process. So, this is a disjunctive time. The time is not unified. Time is being, you know, classified. It is again having layers. So, as post-colonial nations, they look back to the past. Again, they look up to the future. So it is like a process which is continuing. And national culture is never static. National, the signifiers of national cultures keep on changing. National culture keeps on evolving. If you look to the music of India 50 years back and now, there is a huge shift. So what makes India India as a nation, India as a post-colonial nation? So the philosophies the Indian politicians followed 50 years from now may not be followed by the same government, by the same Indian politicians at present. So, national time keeps on changing, national signifiers keep on changing. So, cultural identification, national cultural identification keeps shifting. So how do we narrate the nation? So while narrating the nation, we tend to give voice to a unitary people. Unitary people means, the people are categorized and classified, but yet they are conceived to be together. Okay, they are multiple, but yet conceived to be together and representing a common spatial expression. They are representing a common space because as Indians, we have occupied a common space, a common land. So, metaphors of national life is represented by the expressions, by through these expressions of unitary people. For example, landscape, the rivers that uh, flow in India, the mountains, the flora, the fauna, the climate, the culture, the geography, the seasons. So even species, natural species, they all tend to represent um, India as a nation. So they are also signifiers of India as a nation. They are also signifiers of a nation which is evolving continuously. So through the metaphors of national life, through the metaphors of landscape, geography, flora and fauna, a unitary people expresses their belongingness. Now, Bhaba gives again a concept of chronotype of national time. While narrating the nation, we tend to view national time as fixed from beginning to end, from its the formation of India as a nation to its completion. But this time is not complete. This time keeps on uh, growing, it keeps on moving. So it is through this process of splitting that the conceptual ambivalence of modern society becomes the site of writing the nation. So as I have kept repeating that, any post-colonial nation would go back, revisit the past, and then write about its expectations, write about its future in regard to its contemporary times. So it is through this, split to go back to the past and to become modern, any post-colonial nation writes its national rhetoric, the language of national belongingness. And then he also says that national culture, as I discussed a few minutes back, that national culture is always shifting. So instead, there is instability of national culture because of dialectic of various temporalities. What is modern? What was represented by the colonial? What do we understand by subaltern? What do we understand by post-colonial? Who were the natives? Why the Europe gave this term native, the natives as lazy? Even Deepesh Chakrabarti tells, in his essay that natives are always termed as lazy by Europeans. So there is always instability of a national culture. So some, a few years back, we have different sense of national culture because of the changing signifiers of nationalism. Then again, of 100 years from now, again, metaphors of national culture may change. So with the formation of nation comes feminist politics, process of identity and the loss of identity. Bhaba briefly brings Julia Kristeva in his essay and feels that, Kristeva's contribution is also important And with the formation of nation, whenever a nation is formed in terms of its, you know, organization, feminist politics also emerge. Next, as I said, chronotype of the national time. Okay, so national time is not, it becomes visibly concrete. It becomes local. It becomes, you know, as if it is beginning, as if, from how India began in 1947 till 2020s. It's like a concrete space which is not moving any further. But from the 2020s or from 2024, again, national time will be changing. So, national time can be fixed or can be viewed as fixed only if you tend to select a particular time from history. But then, as we keep on evolving, as we keep on changing, as we keep going back to the past, we keep expecting a future in relation to the present. National time can never be viewed into fixed categories, can never be concrete. National time is also evolving, and with the changing national time, nation is also changing. Nation, the becoming of nation, is also a temporal process. So, formation of nation is not a homogeneous idea. Formation of nation is heterogeneous. It is a split between time, the double time shift, the past to the expectancy of future, and the keeping in mind the present scenario of a nation. So these concepts of time, the double time, makes the national space as heterogeneous. Here I have two pictures, again generated from GPT. One shows that how nations keep on evolving, nations keep on changing. So, the first one is not in relation to India, but the second one is in relation to India. And again, you see that GPT has a pattern. Some of the monuments are visible, some of the monuments are not. Again, when I said that the metaphors of national life, uh, landscape, flora, fauna, geography, rivers, mountains, all these represent the language of national belongingness. They constitute the national language of national belongingness. And they are the signifiers which keep on changing. So, national signifiers can also become the cenotaphs, the monuments, the Amar Jyoti Jawan, the Taj Mahal, the India Gate, statue of Sri Vallabh Bhai Patel. Okay, so all these, statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose in New Delhi. So all these shifting, signifiers of nationalism or the rhetoric of national belongingness tell us that the concept of nation is a temporal process and national culture is not fixed. I hope you have uh, enjoyed this talk. Thank you so much.